Your mortgage is 30 years. Your house won't make it to 15. That's not an exaggeration. That's not clickbait. That is the math. The oriented strand board behind your walls has a projected lifespan of 60 years, but only under perfect conditions. And perfect conditions don't exist inside a wall that was never properly sealed. Your water heater is a 6-year builder-grade unit with a thinner anode rod that'll corrode in half the time. Your HVAC was undersized from day one because the right unit cost $300 more. Your roof is 20-year asphalt shingles, and in a hot climate, those start curling in 12. Add it all up, and what you get is a house where every major system is on a countdown timer, and they're all set to go off around the same time, right around year 10 to 15. Builders know this. They've always known this. And the dirty secret, the thing this entire industry is built on, is that they designed it this way. Not because they had to, because it's profitable. In 1952, a carpenter named Harold Whitfield built a 3-bedroom house in Levittown, Pennsylvania. Plywood sheathing, copper pipes, plaster walls. That house is still standing. People still live in it. The bones are solid after 7 decades because the materials were chosen to last, not to hit a price point. Today, the median price of a new home in America has crossed $400,000, and the materials inside that home are worse in almost every measurable way than what went into a house that cost a fraction of that price 70 years ago. The question isn't whether something went wrong. The question is, who decided it should be this way? Let's start with the walls, because that's where the rot begins. Your grandmother's house was sheathed in plywood, real plywood, layers of wood veneer, cross-laminated and glued under heat and pressure. Plywood handles moisture well. When it gets wet, it swells slightly, then dries and returns to its original shape. It holds nails and screws reliably. It's been a proven structural material for over a century. Starting in the late 1970s, the building industry began replacing plywood with oriented strand board, known as OSB. OSB is made from wood chips and strands, compressed with resin into panels. It's cheaper to produce. It can be manufactured from smaller, faster-growing trees. And for the production builders, that cost savings is everything. On a typical 2,400 square foot home, switching from plywood to OSB saves the builder roughly $700. Multiply that across 10,000 homes a year, and you understand why every major builder in America made the switch. The problem is what happens when OSB meets moisture, and inside a wall cavity, moisture is inevitable. When water reaches OSB, the edges swell. They puff up permanently. Unlike plywood, OSB does not return to its original dimensions. Once deformed, it stays deformed. The fasteners loosen, the sheathing warps. The structural integrity of the wall begins to degrade in a way you can't see from the inside. In one of the largest consumer class action lawsuits in American history, building materials manufacturer Louisiana-Pacific was forced to pay $375 million to 75,000 homeowners whose OSB sheathing had decayed and rotted inside their walls. After Hurricane Andrew destroyed South Florida in 1992, causing nearly $30 billion in damage and displacing over 250,000 people, Miami-Dade County banned OSB from being used as roof sheathing. They saw what happened when the cheapest panel on the market met real-world conditions, and they said, never again. But the rest of the country kept on using it. It's behind your drywall right now, and its clock is already ticking. But the sheathing is just the skeleton. What about everything inside the house? Every fixture, every appliance, every component you touch and use every day. This is where the scam gets personal, and it has a name. It's called builder grade. Here's how it works. Major manufacturers, the companies that make your faucets, your water heaters, your light fixtures, your cabinets, they don't make one version of their products. They make 2, sometimes 3. There's the version you'd buy at a showroom, the one with ceramic disc valves and solid brass internals that weighs twice as much and lasts 10 to 15 years. And then there's the builder grade version. Same brand name on the outside, same finish, same model number, give or take a digit. But inside, the brass is replaced with plastic. The ceramic valve becomes a rubber washer. The wiring is thinner. The insulation is less. If you picked up both faucets side by side, you'd feel the difference in weight immediately because the builder-grade version is literally hollowed out. But you'll never pick them up side by side because the builder-grade version is already installed in your house before you ever walk through the front door. This applies to everything. Your kitchen cabinets are particle board with a laminate veneer, not solid wood or even quality plywood. They look beautiful on closing day. In 5 years, the hinges will sag, the laminate will peel, and the shelves will bow under the weight of your dishes. Your water heater is the entry-level model with a 6-year warranty, not because it'll last 6 years, but because that's the cheapest unit the builder could purchase in bulk. The 12-year model, the one with a thicker anode rod and better corrosion protection, costs maybe $40 to $60 more per unit. The builder chose the cheaper one. Your carpet is rated for 5 years of heavy traffic. Your hollow core interior doors are made for fiberboard so thin you can punch through them. Your paint is bulk builder grade with cheaper pigments that fade and scuff within months. Even your windows, the ones that look so clean and new, are often the lowest tier double pane with seals that will fail within 15 years, fogging up from the inside with no way to fix them short of full replacement. And here's the part that should make you furious. None of this is accidental. It's coordinated. Every component in your new home was selected to perform at the absolute minimum level required to survive the warranty period. The builder's warranty on most of these systems is 1 to 2 years. After that, everything that fails is your problem, at your cost, on your dime. The builder designed a house where every major system expires on roughly the same timeline, and when that timeline hits, you're not replacing one thing, you're replacing everything. That's the synchronized failure that nobody warns you about. It's not a defect, it's the business model. Now let's talk about who's putting this all together, because the materials are only as good as the hands that install them. The American construction industry lost nearly 1 million skilled workers during the Great Recession. Most of them never came back. According to the Associated Builders and Contractors, the industry needed over 500,000 additional workers in 2024 just to meet demand. Harvard's Joint Center for Housing Studies found that the construction trades still have roughly 1 million fewer workers than during the last housing boom in 2007. Only 3% of young adults say they'd consider a career in construction. For every 5 experienced tradespeople who retire, the industry is replacing them with roughly 2. The national production builders don't employ most of their labor directly. They subcontract everything. The framer has never met the plumber. The electrician doesn't coordinate with the roofer. Nobody is watching the whole picture. Pipes get nicked by saw blades during framing, and nobody notices until water starts bleeding through drywall a decade later. Nails are hammered where bolts should be. Ductwork is installed with gaps. Flashing around windows is done wrong or skipped entirely. These aren't cosmetic problems. These are time bombs hiding behind granite countertops and fresh paint. And when these time bombs go off, the companies responsible have already built themselves a fortress. D.R. Horton, the largest home builder in America, has reported to the SEC that it sets aside more than $400 million a year for construction defect litigation. That's not a company making occasional mistakes. That's a company that has calculated the exact cost of building homes badly and decided the math works in their favor. A Hunterbrook Media investigation, published in 2025, interviewed more than 60 homeowners across 16 states who purchased homes from D.R. Horton and Lennar, the 2 largest residential builders in the country. The accounts were devastating. A family in South Carolina was forced to live in hotels after their home was condemned because of mold so severe their teenage son couldn't attend school. A man in Georgia moved into his D.R. Horton home in 2019 and found non-functioning air conditioning, bent nails everywhere, and construction debris sealed inside the walls. A buyer in Las Vegas discovered leaks and damage throughout his brand new house and couldn't get the builder to return his calls. Homeowners described their homes as falling apart despite passing inspection just before closing. Independent inspectors estimated typical repair costs for these defect-riddled homes at $5,000 to $20,000 per house. D.R. Horton's own internal warranty reserve is roughly $2,348 $1,000 per home. They aren't even pretending the budget covers the damage. And when these homeowners tried to fight back, they discovered the final piece of the trap: the contracts. Both D.R. Horton and Lennar embed mandatory arbitration clauses in their purchase agreements that prevent buyers from suing in open court. If you try to back out of the deal after discovering foundation cracks or mold, you trigger an automatic default and forfeit your deposit, sometimes up to 15% of the home's purchase price. You either accept the defective house or lose tens of thousands of dollars. In 2016, the South Carolina Supreme Court ruled D.R. Horton's arbitration clause unconscionable and unenforceable. In 2022, the same court reached the same conclusion against Lennar. A law firm in Myrtle Beach won a $16.1 million settlement for over 200 homebuyers in a class action against D.R. Horton and reportedly had an 8-month wait list for new clients. The courts are starting to push back, but slowly. So what do? Here's the single most important thing. If you are buying a new construction home, demand a pre-drywall inspection. This is an independent inspection done after the framing, plumbing, electrical, and HVAC are installed, but before the drywall goes up, before everything gets sealed behind walls where you'll never see it again. This is the one moment when the house can't hide anything from you. Hire your own inspector, not one the builder recommends, not one the agent suggests. Yours. If the builder refuses to allow a pre-drywall inspection, walk away. That refusal tells you everything you need to know about what's behind those walls. This is the reality of new home construction in America. The house costs more than ever. The materials are cheaper than ever. The labor is less skilled than ever. And the companies building these homes have spent more money on lawyers and arbitration clauses than they have on the quality of the product they're selling you. Your grandparents' home was built by someone who lived in the same town and staked their reputation on every joint and joist. Your home was built by a publicly traded corporation that reports warranty costs as a line item on an earnings call. Stop trusting the brand on the sign. Start looking behind the walls, because the most expensive home you'll ever own isn't the one with the highest price tag. It's the one that was built to fail the day after the warranty expires.